So Logan Paul and KSI, two very famous YouTubers, they've actually boxed each other a couple of times, two of the biggest content creators in the world. They put out this soft drink, I guess you would call it, called Prime, which apparently is like the cool thing for kids to drink right now. Like you're cool in school if you have Prime drinks, right? But I guess it was announced, this morning? Yeah, look, they signed a deal with the UFC, but I guess it was announced this morning that the FDA is actually suing Prime or they're, seeking justice on Prime because they're lying about the ingredients. They're lying about how much caffeine is in it. It seems like there's a lot going on with the ingredients of Prime.
So the FDA has not, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, is asking the FDA to investigate Prime Energy drink. And whether it's being marketed to children is actually what he was indicating. And also the caffeine content should be investigated. Where's that audio coming from? Is that for me?
Got to mute tabs, I think. Yeah.
That could have been for me. But so yeah, that's the situation that's going on. Easy. You said you had seen that like crazy stories of
dude. So I've tried the drink. They actually handed it out just like outside the Heat arena when there was like a UFC fight right after the UFC deal, and I tried it, and it tastes like you're drinking like maple syrup. It's extremely thick, viscous, if you will, and it doesn't taste good. And this is supposed to be like a Gatorade competitor. On top of that, too, they said that there's 200 milligrams of caffeine, and dude, like. When I was like 13, 200 milligrams of caffeine would make my skin itch. Now it barely gets me up in the morning, but that's neither here or there. But I do want to hear from Bunny too, because I had a conversation with Bunny about this, and he had said he had like left a bottle of this out, and it just started like wearing through the can, like the actual liquid of it. Dude, this stuff is just pretty damn nasty. I'm not gonna lie, like it doesn't seem good.
Bunny.
Okay, I feel like you guys are conflating two different products that they have. There's Prime. They have like a Prime drink that's like a Gatorade product. And then there's an energy drink that's like a Red Bull. I think the Red Bull drink is the one that they're going after with the caffeine.
Prime Energy contains 200 milligrams of caffeine per 12 ounces.
And apparently they're saying that somewhere on the label, they say the hydration drinks are not suitable for children under 15 years of age. All humans need hydration. So that's a red flag right there. If your hydration just only works 15 and up, I don't understand the logic there. Energy drinks, not recommended for children under the age of 18. That makes a little bit more sense. But it's not apparently all of their flavors. It's just one flavor. It's a flavor that I hate. Grape.
Which flavor?
Grape. Apparently the grape flavor has what's known as forever chemicals. They're chemicals. You don't let them out of your system. They kind of just accumulate. Next thing you know, you have full-blown thyroid cancer. This is all allegations, but the chemicals that we're talking about here, it's called polyfluoroalkyl. So that's apparently what's causing that's what's causing the issues here. So
well, apparently they also advertise themselves as zero sugar and vegan. But with 200 milligrams of caffeine. So
actually, they don't have butter in it. That's good.
Vegan animals are known for consuming upwards of 200 milligrams each morning when they wake up, actually.
Well, I mean, what a surprise that, KSI and Logan Paul are cutting corners with this. I mean, Kix was commenting on this beforehand. They kind of, or Logan Paul at least seems like he just cuts corners with everything. You got CoffeeZilla going after him about the Crypto Zoo project left and right.
Dude, so TestTube Ted says, I would time travel on 200 milligrams. Here's the deal. I was in Greece, and the morning of that I was flying back, I had breakfast at the hotel, and they brought out, there was a couple seated across from us, and one of the people was drinking a small coffee, and I was like, I'll have one of those. And they bring it out, and it's black coffee, but it's like dark black coffee. And I'm like, oh, this is like legit. But I'm just like, oh, I'll just sip on it, and then I'll drink it. So I drink the coffee. I thought I was having a heart attack, actually. I took multiple Xanax when I arrived to the airport because I thought I was having a panic attack. I was both having a panic attack and potentially severe heart palpitations as a result of it because the caffeine was so strong. So I think the commenter is correct here. 200 milligrams of caffeine is significant. I don't know how much caffeine in a
It's about the same as a Celsius, which I like to enjoy every morning, which also does make my skin itch.
I thought Celsius was
understanding-
like 120 easy.
It depends.
Okay.
Depends.
So
Depends.
a large Starbucks has 310 milligrams of caffeine, which is more than the amount that this prime drink has. A Dunkin' Donuts coffee has 270. So like it's not necessarily murderous levels here.
Yeah, but Nick, when you were like 13 or 14, 200 milligrams of caffeine at that age, like that's definitely their core audience here is like the youth. And pushing this towards the youth is probably not ideal considering that amount of caffeine for a young individual would actually make them time travel.
It's probably dangerous, but less dangerous than the amount of Adderall their parents are feeding them every day.
That is true. Adderall also gave me heart palpitations.
How much caffeine's in Adderall?
It's not a caffeine.
It's a methamphetamine. It's just
it's fully muted while he's like
It's caffeine free and vegan.
yeah. Adderall is caffeine free and vegan. It's called legal speed, ladies and gentlemen. Nick, how high does the BoDoggos floor price have to go for us to get you to drink a Prime Energy drink at the very beginning of this show on stream and just do the show with Prime Energy in your veins?
He won't make it through the full show.
I don't
like
think
about 25 minutes through,
I'll
he's
be
going to be
cold.
sweating, crying. Like it's going to be the worst physical appearance we've ever seen,
They
Nick.
give you anxiety. I drink one every day.
no. Why?
I don't know, dude. I kind of just got like addicted to them. They don't even taste good. It's easy to say. It's very thick. I drink the blue raspberry one. It's like blue raspberry motor oil.
He said it gives me anxiety. I drink one every day. Like self-induced, no hesitation, just ruin my life.
Bunny, how much
Well,
does
dude,
one of these cost?
Oh, dude, they're expensive, bro. It's like a $4 can of Red Bull.
Well, the thing is with these the prime drinks is that they're banned in a lot of the countries in the EU. So what people would do is they go to the US and they get suitcases full of these and then they bring them back to the UK because you can sell them for like $20 a bottle over there. People are so crazy over them and you can't get them. So there's literally people that fly to the US, fill their suitcases up with these and go back and sling them for 20 a pop. It's absurd.
20 a pop, dude. That's better than a lot of drugs, man. I mean, that's a nice 4 or 5X right there, dude. I mean, that's a
Pretty
guap.
good, dude. Kicks and I.
You can get Adderall for cheaper.
You can get Adderall for cheaper, man. Rick Ross about to be all over this game. I remember, I know this is slightly off topic, but I remember reading a story about this kid that drank like 6 Red Bulls a day for like 4 years, and then his teeth literally started falling out, and they couldn't figure out why. And then the dentist was like, "Dude, it's the Red Bull." So I'm wondering if we fast forward like 2 or 3 years from now, we're gonna have some gap tooth prime drinkers.
I mean, I love Bunny that can't figure out why he's drinking it every day, but I just keep doing it.
Well, he's probably hooked to the polyura alkyl. That shit's good, dude.
Well, I also know now why why Chuck Schumer is getting involved is because if you're going to make more money selling primes than Big Pharma makes selling Adderall, that's going to be a real big problem to the U.S. government for sure. So I think Logan Paul really hit a vein or struck a chord there with the government for sure.
Maybe he has kids.
Could be.
Yeah, these PFAs, according to the EPA, cause testicular cancer and decrease fertility. So for Bunny, that actually may be a roadmap benefit. I don't think he's trying to pop that anymore.
I was going to say maybe Logan Paul was totally okay with the smaller testicles thing since there's no doubt he's on steroids.
Great point, Nick. Clemente had one more topic for us. The yearly running of the bulls is currently happening in Spain with day 4 starting today. So Spaniards will go out and party all night. Then the next morning, they'll show up for the running of the bulls still drunk. And I guess the game is to try to get as close to the Bulls as possible. Only 6 individuals have been reported as injured this year. Clemente's got a video pulled up on the screen. Nick, it looks like you want to weigh in.
Sorry, what's the news story here? I don't understand. What's the story?
It's happening right now. They do it once a year, and literally they just fill up this entire thing with.
I know what the running of the Bulls is. Like I understand it. So I was just trying to understand.
Yeah. So 6 injuries. How many deaths?
None this year, which is like it's
Nice.
a miracle that none have died yet.
0 deaths
in 4 days. That's a lot of bull running for 0 deaths.
They do multiple days. I thought it was one running of the Bulls. Oh, that person's getting it.
Nick, you like that one? You like that bull spearing that person?
We see literally on the screen actual bulls or humans being run over by bulls.
Yeah, trampled.
So do most people die from the spearing or from the trampling?
Gotta think it's the trampling.
Gotta be the trampling. So. Once you're on the ground, dude, you're bull food. Like those.
Yeah, dude, you take a shot like that to the chest, man. That's like the reverse of an EKG. You know what I mean? Like, when they try to bring you back to life, it's like the opposite.
That's not what an EKG is.
Monitor your heart with.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? The electrical shocks, dude, it's like the opposite of that.
Right.
Or actually more. Like when you really punch someone like a closed fist down on the chest to like restart their heart. That's what I meant. It's like the opposite of that. You ever had to do that before?
It's sort of the opposite of pulling up a chest and instead pushing it down with aggressive.
No, but if you got trampled by the bulls, you know what would actually bring you back to life? Prime. Energy.
Bunny, you got your hand raised. You want to weigh in on running of the bulls?
Defibrillator.
You can't even say it right.
Defibrillator.
Defibrillator.
You said
It's a tough word. It's a tough word.
That's the prime-induced stroke right there.
There you go. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to discuss the recent NFT market rally and where we could go from here. Oh, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Are you going to mention today's sponsor, Gatorade?
I wish. When we can get the Gatorade sponsor locked in, that's when you know we're killing it. Today, we're going to discuss the recent NFT market rally and where we could go from here. The lack of success around the highly anticipated Ethermid. Who could have seen that coming? And Azuki's vote to keep the Elementals background unchanged. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this show, ladies and gentlemen, we do want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's show, Phantom Wallet, the official wallet partner of BoDoggos. Phantom is the leading wallet on Solana and is bringing its millions of users. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, not hundreds of thousands of users, millions of users, a superior user experience and NFT features to Ethereum and Polygon. With Phantom, you can easily view your NFTs across all 3 networks and manage them in one convenient location. You don't need to constantly switch wallets. So instead of having to go back and forth between Phantom and another wallet, you can actually just import all your seed phrases. You can import multiple seed phrases into the Phantom Wallet browser extension or iOS or Android app. So you can actually access your wallet from anywhere. Plus, in Wallet, you can pin your NFTs, you can hide spam, and you can actually list your NFTs right from Phantom Wallet. That's part of this really, really strong UI the Phantom Wallet has. So the upgrade's simple. No need to send NFTs or transfer assets. As I just said, you just import your wallets. So go to phantom.app. That's phantom.app and fund your ETH wallet to get started. So we got Kicks on Weather Report today. Kicks, please take it away.
Hey, Coach, you got it. Today is Monday, the 10th of July. We're coming in on some light market volume, 21.3. Blur down to 15.5. Guess no one's farming that anymore. OpenSea at 3.7. Apes, 33.4. Nice 20% rally off the lows. We got Mutants at 6.6. Punks trying to get 50 again. They're at 47.4. D-Gods looking good, 8.7. Azuki back above 7, and their secondary collection almost back at mint price. We got Captains at 5.5, Pudgy's at 3.9. Over the weekend, Ether paused their public mint due to lack of demand. That mint was 0.65 ETH, struggled to sell out, so the team paused the mint. Strategic error there. Should have been 0.69 ETH. Would have gotten a lot more mints. Collection is trading under mint price at 0.52 ETH. Last week, Machi Big Brother submitted an ape coin proposal to buy 1,000 apes, 2,000 mutants, punks, and other notable NFT art and use it for a worldwide like museum curation marketing strategy. We'll see how that goes. Memeland won the ENS domain meme.eth in a bidding war. The domain was acquired for $180 4 years ago and was sold for $420, 69 ETH, $79,000 to Memeland. If you guys want kicks.eth, I'll give it to you for 10K flat. Lastly, Fatzuki, a derivative mint of the OG collection, sold out 0.01 or a free mint. I'm not sure which. I think it was 0.01. It is now trading at 0.06. That's a 6x win for the minters. You can buy some prime energy drinks with that. Once again, Fatzuki, not too hard to guess what the derivative changed. Quickly looking over at crypto, we got Bitcoin just above 30K, ETH in the mid 1800s, Solana cruising over 21, ape trying to get back to 2. It's at 1.8. Back to you in the studio.
Fantastic weather report as usual, Kicks. Love to see Solana pumping up. Some updates from the Nifty Daily Digest, which is the daily newsletter published. If you have an account at thenifty.com, which you need to have to claim today's free NFT, then you will receive this newsletter. So go to thenifty.com and make an account. Azuki has announced that following the community vote, they will not be changing the background of the Azuki elementals, with 86% of the votes in favor of keeping the art unchanged. No real surprise there. I think everybody expected that to be how things played out on Friday. Pudgy Penguins limited additional physical banana suit collectibles sold out in 7 seconds, with all 150 limited run collectibles being purchased for $250 each. Another event that I think is not that surprising. I think everybody is expecting the Pudgy Penguins limited run physical collectibles to sell out, every single time in a very short period of time. Gutter Cat Gang's Twitter was hacked, causing a total loss of over $1 million to impacted victims. Very sad story here in the NFT space. Hate to see stuff like that still going on. Really hope that security measures when it comes to social media accounts, Discord servers, and everything in between will be improved by the people that are controlling them. Polygon Labs president Ryan Wyatt, he's been on this show before, has announced he will step down from the position of chief executive officer by the end of July. And Mark, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Polygon's current chief legal officer, will assume the role as his successor. I believe that Ryan Wyatt also mentioned he'll be staying in the space, if I'm not mistaken, in the statement that he released. Yeah, he said he'll be advising Polygon, investing, and staying in the industry. More to come later. Gotta wonder if he's already locked in a new position. I've got some ideas on where that could be when you think about his background and you think about what he was doing at Polygon. So those are your updates from the Nifty Daily Digest. Again, sign up for an account at thenifty.com to receive the Nifty Daily Digest and the free NFTs that we drop on the show every single day. And go and connect your ETH and Sol wallet, your Phantom wallet, to thenifty.com while you're at it. So look, the first topic of conversation is that the market is bouncing back in the last 7 days. I would say it's an isolated bounce back, right? Largely being led by Azuki, considering Azuki assets seem to have been oversold after the primary sale of elementals, and they came roaring back. As I mentioned on the show the past couple of days, the NFT space absolutely loves to buy Azuki stuff, and they proved it over the past 4 or 5 calendar days. Top 3 winners: Moonbirds, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Azuki elementals. Other 7-day winners: D-Gods, Terraforms, and Heavy Metal, all having pretty sizable runs. Bored Ape Yacht Club actually the smallest gainer, the lowest gainer from a percentage standpoint. What do we make of this? What do we make of the Moonbirds 40% run?
Dude, I've been watching that. I like the mythics. Some people don't. I was in Wynwood over the weekend getting lunch, and there was just this spot called the Backlot, which does like outdoor art, and they had mythics painted on the wall for the first time. I was like, oh, this is sick. And they actually look really good from just like a pure IP standpoint. I like them better than the pixel art, and I'm definitely not biased to pixel art, But something about the Mythics, man, I do like them. I know Kix went back and asked me if I was a moron for liking these, but hey, and of course he just left because I don't know, something about them just feels a little bit more friendly. Like they fit that like cute meta IP style of things. I'm a fan.
I'm not a big fan of like that one, for example. I don't know. It's not my style, but you know, to each their own. Look, they at least are like it's. I will say the quality of the work is high. The actual visual appearance of it, in terms of my own personal preference, some of those look cool. I'm assuming those are more limited edition ones.
Definitely the rare ones, I would say. Like, I don't think they're going to launch the lava skin as a hyper common attribute.
And the traditional Moonbirds had very strong rare traits. Also, if you go look at that collection, some of the traits in Moonbirds, the rarer ones, are very, very cool. Anyway, Nick?
And what's the purpose of these? Just more art, or is there like actual like additional utility to these? I'm not sure.
It's to make more money, Kicks. So one of the goals that they've been working on as an organization over the past year is saying, how can we extract more dollars from this ecosystem of you know, people who are willing to just throw money at the 16th project that people launch. And
well, in all seriousness, there was no primary sale on these, unless I'm mistaken. And so there wasn't any fundraise associated with it. I mean, my thought on these things bouncing back, whether it's Moonbirds or something else, is that there are organizations in the NFT space that raised a sizable amount of venture funding that did quite well when it came to primary and secondary sales of their NFT collections, maybe even that made a lot of money off of partnership deals, or, you know, you hope that some of those brands might have taken advantage of that stuff when it was on the table. Some of it is still on the table. They're not going to go down forever. There's going to be bottoms and they're going to bounce back, especially with just how the broader NFT market moves. So at the end of the day, like Moonbirds or Proof, I should say, as an organization, has capital to run probably for quite a while. I wouldn't think that they have less than a 3, 4, 5 year runway, even if they are burning a lot of capital because of how well they've done, and their assets still trade regularly. And I know that there's been this whole, you know, commentary about how royalties aren't sustainable, but there is still revenue coming into the business. And I think that the NFT space is going to shape up, and we're going to figure out what the actual value royalties play for Web3 businesses is. I don't think it's going to be zero roll, and I don't think it's going to be the only revenue that these organizations bring in. But yeah, Mythic Eggs up 35% as they ran to 0.3 ETH ahead of the Mythic's drop. And the big thing I'd be looking at is like, what's the sentiment surrounding the way the Moonbirds story is playing out here, the way that this drop is going, and you know, the key people that are running the organization. So that's the thing that I'd really be keeping an eye on. But yeah, any other comments on Moonbirds specifically from anybody on the show right now?
Yeah, I mean, no strong comments. I mean, I think it's cool that they're executing that part of the roadmap. I like the Mythics art. You know, one ETH and the lower 1 ETH definitely seemed like a pretty good price to, like, you know, make a punt on the project after. I mean, that's down almost 99%, you know, maybe 97 down at 1.25, right? Because they peaked in the 30-40 range. So I mean, 90% down would be 3 ETH. So yeah, I mean, it seems like July 1st was basically the bottom across all collections. And I think what people are trying to see is this a dead cat bounce, or is this the start of a, you know, bottom into a rally? Basically, is this what we saw in November, right? Where we saw that big FTX related capitulation, right? And we had massive drops in prices, and then lots of things 2x off of the lows. So only time will tell, you know, what the scenario is. The only, not concern, but the only kind of question I have is, are the people stepping in to buy these bottoms new people, or just existing players rotating their bags, shifting their bags around, or deploying some capital off the sides? Pulling capital off the sides is still pretty bullish, but Pio, you're a big fan of you got a guy that when he texts you, you're like, okay, Bitcoin may be a good buy, right? Like, I'm still waiting for that outside signal from some of my normie friends being like, oh man, like Bored Apes are down at 50K. Is this a good time to buy? You know, I feel like if we start seeing some more outside signals, that'll make me feel a bit more confident. There was also an interesting chart somebody showed, basically the market cap of all NFTs in US dollars, and charted it against that anxiety, depression chart that we see all the time, and was pretty much making an argument that right now we've kind of bottomed out in the depression phase, which would be quite interesting.
Well, that's definitely interesting. The friend that you mentioned, of course, I view as like a signal of what the mainstream is thinking. And he's been texting me about Bitcoin. If you ask him about NFTs, he hates NFTs. He doesn't want to go anywhere near NFTs. Quote from him was, NFTs are a good way to lose a lot of money. And that quote came in maybe 5-6 weeks ago. He also, another guy that we know works in crypto, and he basically was just kind of not even acknowledging crypto as an industry. So he's in a Bitcoin only phase right now. So that should give you some perspective on where things are at regarding public sentiment towards NFTs. I mean, quite frankly, you can look at some of our YouTube comments on our shorts where we're not talking about NFTs if you want to understand what the public thinks about NFTs as well, when they look at the NFT morning show as the name of our YouTube channel. But I would probably bet, Kicks, that over 50% of the capital that's buying a project like Moonbirds is existing capital in the space and not new capital coming off the sidelines. Not that is a horrible thing. But we got Jack GK on stage, BoDoggos Whale, D-God's Whale. This guy came on the show last week. We really enjoyed having him. Jack, did you have some commentary on Moonbird specifically?
Yeah, thanks, Pio. Yeah, so I'm a proof holder at Moonbirds, and now got the Mythic's egg. I think some really interesting things, and you almost leaned into this a little bit. It is the idea that this is a project with a ton of capital. I think you look at Doodles as well, and you look at some of these projects where they've definitely not hit the ground running over the past 12 months, and have definitely had some downside, or a lot of downside. But now you're almost looking at these other projects where they really lent into the hype, and you could say that about Azuki. You could say that about Captains to some respect, and they've definitely been hit hardest right now. I think this is just people looking for a little bit of a diversification over, hype definitely works. Attention is definitely a huge part of, how this space operates right now. But also, what about having a few, at least a sprinkling of a bag in these projects with huge reserves? And with Mythic specifically, some sort of keynotes, which I think will be very interesting, is the fact that it's a slow reveal. So although everyone has the eggs, it is only 100 of the NFT per day that will release, and that's going to happen this month, but it has not started yet. So that'll be interesting to see how good the art is across the board. But I do think it's going to be stellar, because you look at these artists, and this is another thing about Moonbirds, another thing about Doodles, and some of these projects we were talking as blue chips previously, is they hired a ton of real top tier talent. That's undeniable, and that those people have still been working on the lore, on the art, on whatever these mechanics are going to be. So I think that's really interesting. So you got 100 of these things dropping. For anyone interested in the eggs, you've got to be aware that legendary eggs mean that you have a 1 in 3 choice of the mythics, as in you will only get to pick one, but it will give you a choice out of 3 of them. If you get a runic egg, that is 2 choices. And then if you get a stone egg, or if you buy an oddity, you can burn the oddity for a singular mythic. You won't get a choice. Or you can, basically mint the egg, and that will also be a singular option. And what's also very interesting is the fact that if you get these 2 or 3 choices, the one that you do not pick will never be a part of the collection. They've actually created 36,000 individual NFTs for this collection, even though the cap of it is 20,000, which means 16,000 of these will be the choices between the 3 and 2 that you get with those runic and the legendary eggs. And if you don't pick them, they basically go into this or almost a mortuary of oh shit, these were never picked. And over the next 6 to 12 months, people will realize, oh fuck, I missed this one, I missed this really rare trait. So I think that's really interesting as well. I'm done talking.
Go ahead, Nick.
I got nothing to add on Mythics. There's another thing I saw that I also saw Bunny just tweeted out about the have you seen these Fatzukis?
Yeah,
so much fun.
I think they're funny. And
I like to buy one of them. These are so good.
I think they're pretty funny. I'm surprised it took someone so long to make something like this. Like, it's like well-made.
It's well made. I'm
So
actually
do you
curious
remember-
how they made the art. Like, you know what I mean? Like, did they use some sort of fat algorithm?
No, they definitely had an artist make them. I got an artist in my DMs right now that's like texting me that he's making a project, and it's the art style of Azuki. Like, the art style of Azuki is quite popular in the NFT space. You know, if we gave Azuki to our artists and said, make a fat version of this, they would 100% be able to do it. It's just funny that they did it.
Do you remember the Fat Yuga Labs Tropo? And
Yes.
there was another individual who rocked them. And every time I saw them, they stood out. I was like, oh, these are actually kind of fun. Like, these are like a different spin on it that, like, I'm like, these kind of slap. And the Fat Zukis are just absolutely hilarious. You could have bought these pre-revealed for 0.02, 0.018. And they overnight, they went all the way up to 0.07. So, like, one of those degen mint types of plays that I think is just going to continue to have a little bit of legs here because people are just having fun with it. And that was like, dude, at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people kind of got into the space for. So when you see one of these degen mints pop off and people are laughing and having fun on the timeline, it just kind of makes it like the joy of collecting again.
Yeah, people have to believe that there's a potential for these things to go up. And if anything, that is like a decent indicator that the market's not in the straight up gutter. I think they hit the nail on the head with this, considering everything happening with Azuki, and then they just come out with a fat version of Azuki. Pretty damn funny. Bunny, you have your hand raised. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Easy. Saw my hand go up and then said it verbatim what I was gonna say. So
maybe if you came onto the video, then you'd be able to, you know, just share your take. I want to also
I'm sorry,
add.
I'm feeding my kid.
I was gonna say we want Bunny to come on video, ladies and gentlemen, but it's apparently not possible for him to
He's
rework
busy
the schedule.
breastfeeding right now, so don't interfere with that.
Speaking of feeding, if you see the Fat Zukis, they changed like the swords and like the Sharukans, I think is what like the dagger things are, to like a chicken wing, a hot dog on a fork,
A donut.
a hamburger, and a donut, and like a boba tea.
That's
like,
so good, dude.
it's so funny that they just added the food play into it, dude. I don't know what it is, but they're just a lot of fun, and I don't.
Dude, as
hold any-
Pio said, man, a high quality derivative that pumps is a decent sign.
Now the issue is now you're gonna see like fat everything else for like the next like 2
fat
weeks.
Pepe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna run through the fat meta for a couple weeks. Yeah, dude. Some of this, like, what's funny too is they have like these Azuki elemental bot style things too, where they're like teasing what Fat Zuki's revealed, just like riffing on everything Azuki did and just really leaning into it.
Well, I mean, we're already working on fat BoDoggos, and let me tell you, these boys are thick.
Oh yeah, dude. These are some wiener dogs.
You think the Fat Zukis will airdrop like refried beans?
Oh my god.
Well, it's
dude,
not
don't
a
give them any
bean, though.
ideas.
It's a peanut, right? Is it a peanut?
It's a peanut. That's a peanut.
Is that the funniest thing they could have done? Is a peanut the funniest thing?
I don't know. Did like a bag of chips or something could have been funny too. Like just any junk food style of thing. I just love that they put instead of weapons, just junk food and food. Like high fat content food is hilarious.
The green peanut, since you fat bozos are impatient, we will reveal in 2 days. It's not easy to draw when you're sweating from standing up. It's pretty funny. It's a funny line.
What if the whole thing's just a rug?
It absolutely is. What?
What do you,
You think
what?
this project's gonna be kicking it in 6 months? Like this is just
No,
new
I
having
mean,
fun.
What if they don't have the art for all of the NFTs?
Oh, they can't reveal 10K.
Yeah, that's what they said. What if they only have like 10 of them and they just made a bunch of money and they're just gonna move on with life now?
It's possible. I mean, it's absolutely possible, but they might want to fully maximize this. I mean, look, we've seen
Wait.
rugs where they want to maximize it with royalties. Kicks?
They're not fully revealed?
They're not revealed at all.
Manual reveal. Yeah, it's like the same exact mechanic as a bean where you reveal it.
Kicks, you skeptical?
Let's see,
All right, we
man.
got-
I thought he was frozen. I was like, dude, what's going on here?
I'm just thinking, it's probably they probably got Eric Cartman over there grinding away at the computer.
Somebody said if
Crank
you
these out.
fudge, you're fat shaming.
If you find your fat shaming, that's pretty funny. Look, like I said, if you have an artist, then it's not that hard for them to make this because they can just literally take the entire legacy Azuki collection and just trait by trait make it fat.
Yeah, but that's like
It's work.
That's not like an easy task. That's like, if they're actually going to do that, then that's like, I feel like that's a ton of effort.
I
Well,
think
they
this was an algorithm. I think they have a fat algorithm, and they're gonna crank them all out, and then they're gonna do derivatives of all the other projects.
But
There's
keep
no way they're doing it by hand.
Guys, keep this in mind. So what it was 0.01 mint price, and what they sell 10,000 of them.
It was free if you had an Azuki.
Okay. Well, that changes things. How many Azukis minted? It sounds like they made at least like $200,000 US off the primary sale. I'm just saying you can grind out some, like, guys, got to remember, like, $200,000 is $200,000. If like two guys were like, hey, how about we do a fat Zuki project, and one of them's an artist and one of them's a smart contract guy, split the 200K down the middle. I'm just saying they'll put like 3 weeks of work into that. Like, when's the last time you just made 200K to yourself in 2 weeks? You know,
If this was the reveal for Azuki Elemental Beans, you think that'd be more bullish than the reveal?
Way more bullish, dude. They would have cooked. If Azuki Elementals were just fat, oh my God, dude. The home run would have been an absolute home run. This thing, you would see Elementals at like a 10 ETH. It would have been an inflated floor.
well, you guys know the sentiment around Azuki Elementals is borderline already 180 degrees in the opposite direction, because nothing in the NFT space can recover like Azuki. It's the most resilient, like you can not, it's like Tyson Fury level resilience. Eats a punch to the face from Deontay Wilder and just gets up like nothing happened. So we should chat about it. It's up 44%. Clemente wrote 1.27 ETH floor. I thought it was even higher than that. I think it touched 1.4 on the bounce back. Azuki Elementals.
Oh, got it.
The revealed
And-
ones. The unrevealed are like 1.8.
Look at that. And then the bottom, Clemente, you put 0.92. I thought they got even lower. I thought they were like
They were down to
0.87.
0.84.
last week.
Yeah, the
last
low
week,
the low
their
they
bottom
saw was 0.84. The low that the unrevealed saw was 1 ETH, right around there.
I mean,
It looks like they made 79 ETH about, and I think it's gone. Like they already moved it.
Fat Zuki?
Yeah, there's no money in the contract.
what'd you think they were going to do? What'd you think no, they're not going to move it. It's on its way to their bank accounts. That's how it works with a rug. Go ahead, Nick.
That these elemental beans have a 1.94 ETH and literally 15,000 ETH in volume is so absolutely crazy. And they just decided to like drop that to like appease people last minute. That's so ridiculous. Like, I don't know if they have even I don't know if they have a plan for like whatever these are at this point in time. And people are paying 2 ETH for this. This is ridiculous.
Well, a normal person, Nick, would say it's ridiculous. But someone that understands how much the NFT space is obsessed with buying Azuki stuff thinks it's actually totally normal. Those beans are by Azuki, Nick. It's not Fatzuki. It's not a random other team. And the NFT space loves buying Azuki stuff. That's why I stopped fading and I have a bean and an elemental. I am down on those given the dumpster fire of 2 weeks ago. But this rebound is hilarious. It's so strong. If you bought,
Are you going to sell into this rebound?
no, because they got to keep going, which if you know the NFT space, give it some time.
I would actually say basically right now you're close to a local top, and that things are going to go back down, and you're now going to be holding those things for 6+ months minimum in order to retrace back to where you're going, because I don't think they got something that they're going to like imminently drop. Maybe I'm underestimating the Azuki team, but they've been great with execution mostly up until this moment. But also part of their execution has really been dead silence, has been the majority of that effort. And to me, look, it took us a while to get our own project out the door. So I understand the effort that it requires in order to do these sorts of projects. But when you have the resources that these companies have, that's what I find just surprising, is that like our own execution pace is similar or faster than some of the larger projects. And in my mind, if that's the case, there's one of two things going on. One, you have teams that don't understand how to operate a business, and or two, they just don't give a shit as much about they don't have a high sense of urgency within the organization, which I think is a more likely situation Beanie had done a tweet about like, remember how, a lot of the project owners were just like traveling to different countries for weeks at a time in 2021. And I'm like, they're still doing it. But I also replied that like, essentially, well, I had a little flirtatious moment, me and Beanie.
The Beanster, he was like, I like you too, buddy.
But yeah, I was like, whatever I said was essentially,
you said that we were lean with our capital. We're not about to run out of money like a lot of these people are, and we don't do extravagant BS the way that most of the people from 2021 he's talking about have done and continue to do. Everything that you said about Azuki / other founders in the space, I totally agree with Nick. I thought you were spot on. However, you're being very reasonable. You're thinking about it in a very reasonable way, and in a way that somebody has a lot of experience in traditional business is thinking about it. I'm thinking about this in the way the NFT market thinks about it. And you know what the NFT market thinks? I like Azuki stuff.
No, but here's I'm also thinking as someone who has held very high priced NFTs and watched the price go down and seen the sheer effort that we've tried to see during this bear market. Nothing's been able to really revive the market. Like, you're looking for a bottom. And so far, we haven't hit it. Instead, we've had local tops, and then things have gone down further. And I think that like there's still a very high potential of further pain in the broader NFT market before these things are revived. But if you're holding this in the same way that you hold Bitcoin, yeah, maybe that this will turn around. But I think additionally, you're in for short-term potential pain, because there's going to just be like the market is going to move on from this conversation. Like, I don't think we're going to be talking about Azuki a week from now. That's just my bet.
I totally get it. People are excuse me, God, I can't shake this cough. People are still going to be buying Azuki a week from now is the bet that I'm making. But obviously could be wrong. If I was just
bet, Pio. It's a good bet because you're making a similar bet to like Frank's ecosystem, right? That there's going to be people that are willing to continue to double down and bet on, a team that they have like super high conviction in. So I see the Pio play for sure.
The Pio play. Look, you mentioned Beanie, Nick. Beanie has been active AF on NFT Twitter. And honestly, it's weird that I'm going to say it's refreshing. It just makes me feel like, somebody's back that actually knows what's going on and that's going to call people out for BS. Obviously, his individual past is questionable, to say the least. But some of the takes are just great. Like, just reading them is so good. Like, PFP collections are getting dead cat bounce, but that's all it is. Market fundamentals are tied to excitement, and excitement is dried up. Excitement of claiming something meaningful as a collector is what drove the market. Collections aren't exciting collectors anymore. I mean, he calls it like it is. I think that he's looking at a lot of the actual BS in the market, though, when he talks about this stuff. I mean, I loved the tweet that you commented on about how he said in 2021, the founders were just going around the world, hugging each other as if they'd save the world, and then getting hammered and calling it hard work. But it is interesting to see him come back. Easy. What do you make of the return of Beanie? Does it mean anything?
The bottom's in, baby.
That's what you think it means?
Absolutely. Dude, when Beanie pulls back up, starts dropping absolute bangers, absolute hammers on the timeline, fudding projects, giving kudos to other projects, he's either scheming on something or he's back. And he did say like he's only looking to buy into like historic art projects for provenance, or trying to get other ideas and like avenues there. He doesn't think PFPs will really scale. But I also I think some of it I don't fully agree with. Like basically he wrote off gaming entirely. All PFP clubs. Like, dude, at the end of the day, like writing off PFP quote clubs to me is like being like, yeah, nobody cares about organizations or groups of people with similar interests.
Well, real quick, all I was going to say is he's kind of like ignoring / not acknowledging digital collectibles. And I mean, yeah, go ahead, Nick.
That statement I don't interpret as him actually not acknowledging it. Instead, he's saying that PFP clubs are bullshit. And for the most part, I actually agree, because the foundation of buying a PFP being the starting point for you actually like organizing a club, to me just doesn't make any sense. Like, that's just like the reality So like, I'm interested to see what the Bored Ape Yacht Club, like actual Bored Ape Yacht Club in Miami ends up looking like. But to me, it just feels like why, like PFPs as a membership solution, it's interesting. It was more interesting. I think it faded out primarily because of royalty situations. I love the thesis behind it, though, that is like, although the only problem with it, it works in a very small club where you have ongoing dues. When you have a membership system which doesn't have ongoing dues and instead that's just your entry price, that to me actually does feel like a great model where if you could buy a Bored Ape, that guarantees you access and then you pay for membership to like, that's a sustainable business. Right now, the way that it's operating, it doesn't make a whole ton of sense. So I think the membership thing, to his point, is doesn't work, but I don't think he's ignoring the collectible side. In fact, like I actually think that that's an area of focus probably for him.
You guys are best friends now. It's clear. Like that's why you're siding with him. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, at least with Beanie, you know what you're gonna get, right? He's not like it's not like he hasn't made bad calls. It's not like he doesn't make good calls, but at least he's like he doesn't sugarcoat things, which I think for a lot of people right now is probably pretty refreshing. And yeah, I think he's also teasing out some sort of media podcast. He wants to interview smart people in the space or something like that.
You think so?
Yeah, I remember him. He made a post about it.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if he'll actually do that. That'll be fascinating. One last take. He said, hearing from multiple NFT collection founders that they want to exit, but there's nobody acquiring these companies. Royalty revenues are non-existent. New mints aren't selling. VC funding in the space has evaporated. Young, smart builders want to move on, but feel trapped. Well, you know, this is true. You know that it's true that there's a lot of people that have not wanted to do the NFT thing anymore. They definitely tried to foist the NFT business on investors for like way more money than what the investors were willing to pay. When you think about it, Luca bought Pudgy during a bull-ish time. I mean, I believe it was after we saw the kind of big dump of 2022, but he bought it for like, I don't know, $3 million. You got to think some of these 2021 projects that raised a bunch of venture money that had so much money in primary sales were trying to, shop these projects, trying to sell these projects for like 20, 30, 40 million bucks. And people were like, you're out of your mind. And now they're stuck and they got to keep working.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like there's people that went into NFT projects that liked it on the ride up and now aren't having fun anymore on the ride down and would love to just like quietly exit from the side and move on and do something else. I do have a little bit of skepticism over like I'm not sure that there's I kind of lean a little bit more towards what Elon Musk said here. I really don't think that there's like 10 PowerPoint decks going around of PFP projects that are trying to sell. I just don't know if it's that extreme.
Well, you also saw like who is that? Overlords is the Creeps project.
Yes.
Right. So one of their founders posted like, if anyone has good IP, we're happy to have conversations. So they're even like throwing their hat in the ring to be like, we'll buy some stuff. Like, obviously, I'm sure they'll offer lower with current market sentiments, but to see some of these people like we haven't had these conversations or we're down to, I think shows that there's still a lot of interest from people who have been kind of like iterating and dropping some things.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see acquisitions within the space. I think there'll be low numbers. I don't think it's going to be $3 million, but I think a lot of these founders will sell for way less than that just to get off the hook, so to speak, and get some kind of money out of it. Kicks?
You know what's funny is Farouk was interviewing Kevin DeGods and Frank and asked them if they would ever buy one of these like IP projects, and to consolidate what Frank said, he basically said 0% chance in hell that we would ever want to like take on the responsibility and the baggage of another project in addition to what they're doing.
Yeah, I'd rather just make my own thing. I don't want to buy someone else's thing for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's other people that do actually want to do the acquisition thing. It's possible. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to Ether? All right, nothing. Ether pauses their mint after lack of demand. I mean, guys, was this not the most obvious thing that this wasn't going to just be a free money glitch for the Ether people? Real quick, citing market conditions, Ether has already reduced their mint price down from 1 ETH and reduced their supply from 10,000 to 5,555. Going into the public mint, their floor price was already around the 0.65 mint price, and the founders did not adjust the price. There's still over 3,000 NFTs to be minted with a 0.5 ETH floor price, so under the 0.65.
I don't love, punching when people are down, because I feel like this is not a fun spot for a project to be in. I think it's pretty reasonable to say that they made some PR communication missteps. I don't think posting that, hey, we're not going to take a lump sum off the top with this mint. Instead, we're going to pay ourselves salaries. Like, if I was, an advisor on that team, I would have been like, that's one of the worst things you could tweet right now. Like, definitely don't tweet that. But I do think that they have a position. They're in a position right now where pretty much everyone is fudding them, and almost not everyone, but a lot of people are kind of like wishing their downfall. I do feel like they have a strategic option here to have a win, right? And they may need some time to figure it out. But I think that when the consensus is that, like, oh, Ether completely flopped and failed, they're going to zero, I do think that there is market interest on this project. I think that the team just has to figure out a final strategic move to make. They've already made 2 tweaks and both of them flopped. You got one more shot now. You have one more shot. And if you do this shot well, I think that you can actually see some bullish reaction to it. If you look back at Cool Cats was one of the biggest projects of 2021, killed it on the secondary. They had to cut mint. I don't think they cut supply. I think they cut mint price down extreme. If I was in Ether's shoes, I would probably do something like airdrop everyone that minted a free one, and then either Dutch auction or take it down to like 0.25, something like that. So I do think that Ether, when everyone's punching them while they're down, they have one more shot to make a good strategic change to their mint, and then I do think that they could get market support and rally from there.
Good take. Nick brought up, are we still going to be talking about Azuki in 2 weeks? My question would be like, are we going to still be talking about Ether in 2 weeks? Just seeing the story many times before where there was like, I really don't have a deep understanding of what creates the hype surrounding some of these things pre-launch, where they warrant a very high mint price. During the bull run, we saw it many, 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 many times. I remember Star Catchers. That was one of them. I remember there was another cartoony collection that dropped at the same time as Star Catchers. Wonder Pals. There's so much hype. And then they traded over like 1 ETH for like a week, and then it was just straight to zero. And the teams, it's weird even saying like the teams just never did anything ever. And so it just feels, it leaves a taste in your mouth where it's like, that was just a literal scam. Like, it was a literal scam. And I'm not associating that with Ether. I hope that we're talking about Ether in 3 months being like, wow, I can't believe I didn't buy it. It was such a great angle to take in the NFT space. But it's hard for me to see because it does feel similar to some of the hyped up mints of years past that we've seen in the NFT space. And I will admittedly say that I do not understand that hype creation and how that actually, manifests itself in these mints before primary sale with undoxed teams. I don't get it. Anyway, we want to take a quick minute to thank the sponsor of today's show. Again, Phantom Wallet, the official wallet partner of the Nifty and BoDoggos. When it comes to managing your Ethereum crypto assets, security has to be your number one priority. Obviously, we saw that after this Gutter Cat Gang hack, and that's why Phantom offers cutting-edge security features to keep your assets safe. With some of the most notable Web3 professionals, organizations, and just figureheads in the space getting hacked, Phantom is set out to create a much better solution and improve on the security issues that many users face with alternative wallets. I mean, guys, we're going to have to get more secure as an industry. This can't just keep happening forever. It's too easy to lose $1 million. So the browser extension and the mobile apps offer a transaction simulator prior to completing the transaction to protect you and your valuable assets from phishing attacks. Phantom also supports Ledger Mobile, ensuring your assets are kept secure with hardware wallets. If you don't have a hardware wallet set up, you got to figure it out, amigo. You got to get in there. So the user interface, I've talked about it before a bunch of times, keeps you informed and in control. And again, there's support for multiple Ethereum and Solana seed phrases, so you can import and manage your wallets in one place without the need to send NFTs or transfer assets. So if you're ready to upgrade your wallet security, download Phantom by visiting the link in the pinned tweet or go to phantom.app, phantom.app, and fund your ETH wallet on Phantom for the ultimate NFT experience. Well, look, we're coming up on the end of the show. When I look at what's happening in the space, or excuse me, in the market, I'm up on those Otherside Vessels that Easy pointed out would be a good play. So that was a great play by Easy. Easy, what do you think's going to cook there? And what other items in the NFT space are you looking at?
I bought 11 Otherside Vessels. Yeah, so I'm up to 11 now, all sub 0.2 entries. I started scaling in after the show just because, like, I finally had 5 minutes to dive into it a little bit more in full. And I wish I even went harder on that, because this wouldn't shock me if they get up into like the 0.35, 0.4 range, to be honest.
0.186 floor right now.
Yeah, and they broke 0.2. They got up to 0.22, I believe, on Friday after that graphic was teased with their roundtable. And it's showing that they are still progressing towards Legends of Mara, where we saw heavy metals sell all the way down to 0.4 before the game launch, get back up to 0.7, 0.8, resell on the everything's dead moments last Saturday, and then rebound extremely nicely to 0.68. So will it surprise me if Vessels actually show more life moving forward here? Not at all. And like that chart, you look at that chart on the lower right, that looks beautiful to me with a nice rebound here, especially with the rares continuing to trend higher. Of course, there's still lulls in the market, and we saw that mean bottoming out. I believe that was this past weekend. Well, like 7 or 8 days ago. And that to me was like the best opportunity, sub 0.2. And even here, I'm like, maybe I add a few more, but like that is what I'm really interested in, because this next game I think is going to have more other side experiences going on with it. And the Vessels, I believe you can actually have more than one on a single plot of land. You can have the Hunter, the Gatherer, and I forget what the third one is, but all three of those. So I think even diversifying, I'm mostly targeting floors, which I'm comfortable with. And that's the thing where I think we're actually going to get more interactive gameplay with Vessels and some level of like involvement from that. We've seen a lot of people enjoying heavy metal, despite kind of like this idle style gameplay. But Vessels seem like it's going to be more involvement to kind of like have a play scale. And that becomes more interesting to me because of that floor price action. I think Other Deed Expanded, the already burned ones that have the Vessels, are also in need. But there's 200,000 of those or 100,000 of those, which is a ton, versus Vessels, which people are still redeeming. So I think like there's a sort of an interesting balance to it at the moment, where that's mainly where I'm looking. I think the Yuga ecosystem isn't going anywhere, and they've actually continued to ship faster and faster here. So that's my main focus at the moment. Outside of that, Mythic's post reveal becomes interesting to me, but it is almost like a dilutive event. I just think people are going to end up liking the art, which will help. Other than that, though, it's more just kind of watching for some of these. Like now we just saw Fatzuki's run, and usually every quarter we get one degen play that goes absolutely crazy. So I'm kind of like keeping my eye on like what the degen play of this cycle may be in this like quarter. We had Nakamigos last quarter, and that's kind of where I'm at.
You just correlated HVMTL and to Fat.
Two totally separate plays.
So and then
the tone was the best. You know, we just saw Fatzuki's run.
So
confidence. You need the confidence in the market here.
So the other thing that I was gonna say is that like the supply of Vessels is the only worrying factor that I would have associated with this. It's 45,000 versus like heavy metal, for example, is 28,000, which is still pretty high. And the fact that it's at 0.7 right now is fairly impressive. This game has been, I think, more successful than I mean, I came out pretty harsh against it when it first started, and then I played it and it got better. Then I played it again and I hated it. Whoops, sorry, I have the audio playing on it actually.
Oh my God, Nick.
And then now I'm like sort of at a place where I'm just like, I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that piss me off about it, but I'm also just like, there's not a lot of idle games in browser as I think about it. Most of it's on the phone. And that's something that I think is actually quite interesting. I don't know, maybe I'm sure there's some game people that'll be like, duh, dude, there's like 20,000 of these like in browser idle games, but just they're not ones that I'm familiar with. And there's something about that dynamic of while I'm working at my computer, having that other tab to just go over and click on and do something arbitrary. That
It's a break. It's a mental break is what happens. Is all of a sudden that 30 seconds kind of just gives you like a separation. You're like, I'm grinding, I'm working on something. Oh wait, let me go do this, and then you feel like you accomplished something. The
one thing I hate about this is that like the reward of me clicking on shit is not high enough. Like it's not a satisfying click, and a lot of the quantities of clicks to accomplish a task is way too high. Like I got to click 47 times on one thing, 80 times on another thing. And to like revive a portal, for example, it's just not necessary to clean the tile. It should be like click, 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 like 3 clicks. If there were less clicks on some of those things, I'd actually find it maybe more satisfying because the impact of what I like my literal, I mean, it's not heavy physical effort here, but it is small.
It is for you.
Okay. It's small things like that where it's like, come pet your guy and you're like clicking for 15 seconds. That adds up over the time. And it just doesn't feel like progress is being made when I do that. So that's the only thing. I don't love it, but clearly people like it enough that they're out buying other heavy metals to put into the game, which just shows the impact. In my mind, it shows the impact of like the indie gaming space is really where this feels like we're operating right now with some of these initial things, in the sense that like you can make money off of a small audience, and Bored Ape Yacht Club, Yuga Labs is doing this right now. Now they made a game that was more popular before with the
Dookie Dash.
Yeah. But like still, it wasn't like, I don't know how many people in total played that game, but like a viral indie game, Flappy Bird, for example, was like an indie game that blew up to the masses.
I still love that game. Flappy Bird on VR and Angry Bird on VR, both incredible experiences.
Really?
And well, there's a history of indie games blowing, having the capacity to blow up. I believe there's a documentary, I think it's called Indie Game. It's actually a really good documentary. And I think that people will be able to see a lot of parallels between the NFT space and that documentary. One of the 3 games that they cover in that documentary was massively successful. So they show you the massively successful one, the one that's struggling, and I don't remember the storyline of the third one. But certainly, I mean, Kix, he's not here. He's the CEO of Crypto Raiders. He's doing essentially an indie gaming startup right now that's in the crypto space. And he'll send us content sometimes that I'm not exposed to, because I don't come from the gaming world and I don't have a ton of exposure to the gaming world. But the things that are presented in this content make so much sense for people that are running online community-based organizations, like everybody that has an NFT project. So it's very enlightening to see the gaming takes. Go ahead, Nick.
The thing that I wonder about is like, in terms of how NFT projects implement, like one of the downside, there's an upside and a downside of NFTs. If you ask Luca or anybody else basically about, the thesis, they have an IP thesis. We have a built-in consumer base that'll buy our stuff thesis, essentially. If you talk to people in this space, that's kind of the thesis that exists, which is, hey, we have a bunch of holders who will buy our stuff. But there's some limit of that, right? Like
absolutely.
You can't just keep dropping all these things, especially if they're NFTs, and say that we have a recurring business and that we sell collectibles that people are passionate about, because the reality is you don't. Like you may have sold collectibles that people are passionate about, but it's not clear if people will continue to buy those on an ongoing basis. And the thing that I was going to say is what appears lacking in this space is really like a clear distribution channel. Steam and Epic Games, those 2 platforms seem like the place where that distribution would go down. And in that case, if those are your channels of distribution, then it means we're all building gaming companies, basically. But in the case of Yuga, they just launched their own site. and they have enough hype that people are going to go and play the game.
Yep.
And I'm sure in private conversations, when they're comparing it with traditional gaming companies, they're saying, wow, you actually have a lot of engagement on these games that you're releasing with people spending actual money. And this is just further validation of the thesis, regardless of the quality of the game. If I'm thinking about this just like someone who's operating the business, saying, we're seeing great results over here. Could the game be better? Yeah, the game can always be better. But ultimately, like, developing games is an evolutionary process. So I think whether or not you like this game in particular, and I'm like on the fence on as to like definitively there's a lot of things they can improve with it. But I think it's really an interesting space that we're in. And the real challenge at this point is going to be, is there going to be some distribution channel which kind of supports the NFT ecosystem, project ecosystem in a way that makes this far more sustainable, or at least increases the odds slightly. That I don't know what the distribution is in the indie gaming space, but is it 99.9% fail? Because that's basically what the NFT space is.
And it might be. And maybe Yuga's the brand that makes that platform that you're talking about. Should mention, like, Friday's sponsor Planet X and then a previous sponsor Wildcard are two examples. Wildcard being made by the folks that made Wordle and Age of Empires, two examples of a game that was started before blockchain gaming was even a phrase. And then when they saw the potential of quote unquote blockchain gaming, in other words, unique digital ownership through blockchain assets, they pivoted to building the game in quote unquote Web3. So if you keep seeing that, that's going to be big time stuff.
So I looked up the numbers. 70% of all games are commercial failures. 30% that are considered successful. Of the 30% that are successful, only 7% of those will generate enough revenue to fund a second project. So that actually means, is that 0.7% of 30, which would be 2.1% basically? So 2.1% of indie games are long-term successes. Well,
longish term.
It doesn't even matter if it's long-term. It's just provide enough funding for them to build another game. That's all that it's saying, basically. So I'm assuming like long-term successes is probably incredibly limited. Like a Mario franchise or something like that. Good luck.
No one said it was easy to make a household name level video game that's existed for 2.5 decades or more. Anyway, I think that's our show. Let's dish out this free NFT, Clemente.
The password for today's free NFT is Solana69. Solana 69. Go claim that at thenifty.com. We have a new NFT series coming at you guys today that we're super excited to roll out. So go claim that at thenifty.com/claim Solana69.
Clemente, let's see a live claim of this bad boy. This is from our new series, Long Live Solana. Title of this one is Die on the Hill. Looks like Buddy is planting the Solana flag and letting everybody know we ain't going anywhere. We're supporting Solana. So go check out the NFT. Solana69 is the claim password. Go to thenifty.com/claim. And thanks for listening to the show, everybody. If it's your first time listening, the show is available on Twitter Spaces. Obviously, that's its home, but it's also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. If you want to see us actually do the show, see our beautiful faces, it's on YouTube. Go subscribe to the NFT Morning Show YouTube channel. And if you want to share the show with people outside of the space, share the podcast from Apple or Spotify Podcasts. If you follow the NFT Morning Show account that you see hosting the Twitter space, all the links are available there. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow. We do the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. Eastern time every single week, talking about all